Hello, I'm Portia Young, and this is the February 2018 edition of 1036 on Milwaukee PBS. Having just celebrated Valentine's Day, we bring you the story of a special friendship between two fun-loving kids and how one is helping the other conquer one of life's toughest challenges. Plus, an MATC program providing second chances for inmates while bolstering the area's manufacturing industries. We begin with another look at the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace. 1036 and our partners at Milwaukee Neighborhood News Service have been bringing you the faces of sexual harassment in order to better understand what many women and some men are facing at work right here in our communities. Joanne Williams and Elizabeth Baker examine the issue of sexual harassment in service industries.
Gloria Steinem used to say, you know, we didn't have a word for sexual harassment or domestic violence. We just called it life. When I first got active with the women's movement, it was just that's what happened in the world. It was part of came with the job. So we've made a lot of advances since then. They clarified that it was against the law. They clarified that there are steps you can take and punishments for employers who violate the law. But there's still significant weaknesses even in the law.
Bravo says employers should know by now that harassment on the job of any kind is illegal. But
I should say there are four kinds of employers. There are employers who make sure they know and do the right thing, whether it's required or not, just because it's the right way to treat people, and they have figured out that that's smart as well as the right thing to do. Then there are employers who gladly will do the right thing, but they just are overwhelmed and not really sure what to do, and they'll take that advice. There are others who don't know, and the question is, what can they get away with? And then there are some who know very well, and the main thing they want to ask is anybody looking? And protect the people at the top, because they assume that they can get away with it. The law says you can't discriminate, but it doesn't say you have to have a policy, channels for reporting it, and you have to inform your employees what to do should it happen to them.
Bravo says to fix the problem of sexual harassment, the focus should be widened to include all the ways women are treated at work.
And you can't do that unless you address the issue of the unequal treatment of women overall. When you have women who live on their tips because they make $2.13 an hour, it's really hard to tell the guy that's harassing them, who's a customer, buzz off, because they may not have food for their kids that night.
Christina Nayland couldn't say buzz off when she was harassed while working at two local bars.
I had been groped while out on the floor serving at a bar in West Dallas. It was probably my second or third shift. I was pretty surprised. I hustled, back behind the bar where it felt safe and just went about my business. That was my first encounter with something physical, being touched without consent in that setting. So I was a little surprised at that. It was a customer I had never interacted with before. It was just like an in-passing scenario, and it shook me.
It happens every day to the people who serve our food, who pick our crops, clean our offices, take care of the sick people in our lives, clean our houses, etc. And it's not that these are people without a voice. They aren't heard. They don't have anyone to tell, or if they do, they're retaliated against. It's a very high degree of retaliation when people come forward.
Well, what'd you do? Did you tell somebody?
I didn't because it's part of the job and it's just expected. You're in that situation, you're working, and it's difficult to go and tattle on a customer, a paying customer, and that's the way it feels as a woman on the job. You don't necessarily feel very empowered.
You felt like it was just something you had to do for the job?
Yeah, I felt like it was not at all out of the ordinary, that much worse happens. This is just another day at the bar.
When you started working at either of these bars, were you given an employee handbook that outlined what you should do if you were harassed?
Absolutely not.
Were you told anything by your employer about
No.
what to do if something like this happened?
No, absolutely not. It was never mentioned.
Did you expect to have some sort of information about how you should follow up on any of these sort of incidents?
I would say no. it just seemed like this is what happens in this type of environment.
So you're still working in bars, and you know this can happen. Why do you continue to work there?
The money is good. When you have student loans, you're a woman trying to make it, you're a single woman in this country, trying to make her rent, her student loans, her car note.
Elizabeth and I have talked about this with some other folks, and
Yeah.
one of the other women we talked about, we asked her if she told her family. Did you tell your family that this happened? Did you tell them right away?
Right. The incidents that we've discussed right now, you know, having your butt groped or having comments made and feeling uncomfortable, that stuff probably came out in casual conversation. I can't recall, you know, a specific sit down, this happened to me. There was a time that I was sexually assaulted by a manager, and I also thought he was my friend, at a distillery that I worked at. It wasn't on the job, and it wasn't on the premises, but it did happen with a coworker there, and I definitely went to my family and my friends and had that incredible support.
Would you change any of the things you did, or do you just think?
It feels par for the course. What I've experienced is kind of nothing compared to stories I've heard other women tell. You expect it in this industry. It's just an unspoken thing.
Recently, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission assembled a select task force on the study of harassment in the workplace. It found that 85% of people who complain never file a formal legal charge, and approximately 70% of employees never even complain internally. We reached out to the Tavern League of Wisconsin, hoping to learn how that industry is addressing sexual harassment. Executive Director Pete Madlin told me, no comment.
Do you think by coming forward and telling your story, you'll also be able to teach women who are coming into this kind of business? Will you give them a few words of advice?
Stand up for yourself. One person tells you no, you can't share this, you can't advocate for yourself. Shut that down. You can absolutely advocate for yourself. And it's incredibly important to find the people that will help you advocate for yourself if you need that support.
Next month, we'll focus on the role of human resources and what recourse employees have in the fight against sexual harassment. Meanwhile, our partners at Milwaukee Neighborhood News Service published an article on the Me Too movement and low-wage workers in the city. Visit MilwaukeeNNS.org. Sexual harassment was one of the issues echoed during the recent Women's March right here in Milwaukee and across the country. Photographer Lee Matz from our partners at the Milwaukee Independent captured some of the protest and passion.
So the mission of Women's March is to harness the political power of diverse groups of women to create transformative social change. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hear from people in our communities who've been out there doing the work for a long time, who are creating transformative social change in Milwaukee.
So as I stand here, I don't take it lightly. I think that I am amongst women of greatness. Our season of change means that we need to be resilient, steadfast, and stand strong, unmovable, unbendable, and unbreakable, standing for the rights of women, women of color, and every seat that we sit in, every job that we hold, every organization that we run, we have to stand strong. We as women sometimes really need to press our way through difficulties, circumstances, situations. Y'all ready? It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other. And support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains.
So today's day of action is still the beginning. The next stage of the movement will channel the energy and activism of the Women's March into tangible strategies and concrete wins in the 2018 elections. The rise of the woman is the rise of the nation.
A program right here at MATC is providing second chances for inmates who are ready to enter or re-enter the workforce. Liddy Collins explains the program and why it's been so successful for the inmates, their families, and Milwaukee.
Machines are run by numbers, and sequences of numbers programmed into a machine can have a machine make different things that are used every day, like tools or jewelry. This operation is called Computer Numerical Control, or CNC. It's a job that's in high demand and with growth for the future, but there's a shortage of trained workers.
The fact that we just don't have enough folks who are pursuing the type of education you need in order to get to these jobs.
Training for this can be gotten at Milwaukee Area Technical College. The Department of Corrections and MATC came together and formed the CNC Reentry Program, an experimental program that fills a need.
We thought we can make sure that folks are re-entering their communities, as 97% of our folks will one day do, with a job opportunity, prepared to succeed. At the same time, we fulfill an economic need that employers have already told us about.
And yes, the CNC Reentry Program is for inmates to get a second chance. The pre-release centers involved from the Milwaukee area are the Felmers-Chaney Correctional Center, the Marshall Sherry Correctional Center, with the Milwaukee Women's Correctional Center to be added.
We did that training with people who were able to be on work release. They also qualified for the education piece.
This program was funded through a grant. When started, inmates were brought on campus third shift to avoid access to the public. It's now run on second shift.
Where they were brought on site here and came in on third shift, and then actually went into the shop and worked on the different machines and that, and took math and blueprint reading and inspection quality and all of those related courses that go along with the hands-on shop and lab activity.
For the last about 15 years, I've been in and out of the manufacturing industry, both in plastics and metals, but I've never had any formal training on machinery. So this was an opportunity for me to actually get the formal training on manual mills, lathes, and also on the CNC side of it.
Returning to a classroom was kind of difficult because it had been a long time. But after I got used to everything, and the instructors and the teachers, they kind of help you settle in real nice, and just getting back in the groove of actually using your brain every day, it feels good.
Empowering communities and people is how Dr. Sadiq Sahaku sees this program, though there have been challenges.
Because of the fact that some of them have been incarcerated for long periods of time, we have had problems about tax returns, we have had problems with selective service, and we have had problems with various forms of verification.
But those problems are the why of MATC.
Because our visions and mission says that we transform lives. And that's part of our mission and vision at MATC. So how do we do that? So this is a real result of transforming people's lives by giving them an opportunity to be able to have access to this kind of training.
This program gave former inmate Michael Williams access to better job opportunities at Snap-on.
Don't be afraid. Don't think that because what you did is a bad thing. You know, everybody goes through things in life. It can be a great thing if you use it to your advantage. You know, people are not scared of people that have been to jail. They're willing to help you. You just have to go out and talk to people and just seek the help.
That's just one story. There are several stories that I know about of students who have completed this program and are gainfully employed. Not at minimum wage, but at family supporting wages.
The base salary as a machine setup and operator of people coming out is between $12 and $15 an hour. And that varies from the different companies.
I just recently, a couple weeks ago, got a CNC machining job. So that's all working out well. What I've learned in this class is some of the CNC stuff. And I'm actually working on the CNC machines and able to kind of read the programs and make some adjustments to the machines to make, produce accurate quality parts. So that's some of the stuff that I've already learned in this class that is helping me at my new job.
I work at ScanPack right now. It's in Menominee Falls. They make brakes, they make gears for different companies out of fiberglass. What I do at work right now is basically the same stuff that I learned in class. How to use the tools, how to actually know to read and speak in thousands.
Just giving you the job skills that you need to make a decent living wage. CNC field is growing. It's huge demand right now. Just in the city of Milwaukee alone, they can't fill. When we were looking through job ads through the temp services, there's hundreds of jobs available right now. So, I mean, the opportunity for growth is there. A lot of the guys at the job that I work at now, they're all retiring, so they're trying to pass on the skill. So it's just really a great field to be in right now.
The partnership of MATC and the Department of Corrections recently held its 8th graduation, making it a total of 92 graduates who have gone through the CNC Reentry Program.
Through the assistance with MATC, has Pell Grants to pay for their education, which is even better versus before the department paid for that, which allows us to use our funds to be expanded in other types of degree granting programs, such as CNC.
They have made an empowering choice, a good choice, a choice reflective of a new life, which is to get the certification that shows they are ready to take one of those $43,000 a year jobs here in the state of Wisconsin.
What they've learned in these classrooms, have a job where they get up and they go to work every day. Their kids see this. So if their kids can see this, and now they see this as a family, they see their dad working, he's going to work every day, he's excited about going to work, it changes a generation.
My Friend Lincoln is a storybook written by a New Berlin third grader, but it's more than just a storybook. These pages reflect a special friendship and a very courageous journey.
These are my moves. My pants are falling down. I can't turn around.
He just wants to make you laugh and do it any way he can.
I'm Lincoln, and this is my friend Nadia.
And I'm in 2nd grade. And I'm in 3rd grade.
She's nice, and she likes to play with me.
Lincoln's funny because he does funny jokes.
What do you call a pig that knows karate?
A pork chop?
Nadia and Lincoln are little goofballs. They're typical kids that love to run around outside and play, and the cancer doesn't play a factor in their friendship.
I have to go to the hospital because I had a brain tumor.
When Lincoln was 2, we started noticing that his eye started moving around, and within 60 minutes of meeting with the ophthalmologist, we had learned that Lincoln had a pretty significant brain tumor. So at the age of 2, we were very scared. They resected about 90% of the brain tumor, and what was remaining really was unreachable because it was wrapped around an artery. After the surgery, he came out paralyzed on the left side of his body. Then we had some seizures, and because the brain tumor pushed on the optic nerve, he had to have double eye surgery to realign his eyes. He had hydrocephalus, which is sort of the fluids in your brain didn't know where to go, so they sort of collected under the skin. And the best way to describe it is he started to look like a cone head. And he went through 2 different surgeries for hydrocephalus. So he's gone through a lot in the first couple of years of his life.
It was summertime in August.
And so when we found out that Lincoln's cancer had came back, she became very, very curious.
I wanted to write a book about Lincoln.
Let's just turn it into a book. We can sell 5,000 copies and give all the money to Lincoln.
He has brain cancer. Cancer is a disease where cells grow the wrong way. I go to the hospital to get chemotherapy. It hurts your body, especially where it's located.
He goes pretty much every Monday. There are some off weeks.
I went with him and I asked him some questions and I wrote it down.
There really wasn't anything to look forward to other than going outside and playing. But when we started school, it was like a light switch. He worked towards going to school, which for most kids, they would love missing school, but
Good morning.
Hello.
not Lincoln. He looked forward to a Tuesday every week. Mondays are definitely not his favorite day of the week. And the whole process takes probably 4 to 5 hours, just depending on what they have to do, what procedures they have.
Up, 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 up. Good. Down.
He goes to the MAC fund and spends a portion of his time just getting set up, taking some labs, getting the port tapped. And then they transfer him over to another location where they actually give him the chemo.
They have to poke a needle in me and stuff. Nadia, I found this out. I like to have company. She makes me feel better. When I go to chemo, I feel like bad because like my head hurts. In the book, it was like some pictures and stuff and drawing and like my medicine and stuff. And me going to the hospital and taking my chemo. Here's my favorite part, my friend Lincoln. Bye, Nadia. Green, Walt. Why did you put my shirt black? Why did you put my pants brown? Why did you put my arms peach? 'Cause you are peach. My hair looks different. It's like this, but weird. When I interviewed Lincoln, I asked him the first one that came in my mind. Are you afraid? Lincoln said, only of spiders. We all laughed. I said, I'm also scared of spiders. He asked him more directly if he was scared of the cancer. Lincoln said no, because Michael, my cousin that died, is watching over me.
Michael is our cousin who passed away from bone cancer at a very young age. He was 24. And that whole process was a question that Nadia asked Lincoln and had nothing to do with anything that I said, or that was Lincoln's answer. You know, I have a cousin who's looking out for me. And it kind of threw me, because for him to know or for him to think that he has somebody looking out for him, so there's no reason to be scared, was kind of a special moment for our family. So the future for Lincoln is we still have another 6 months of chemo, and that the hope is that the chemo will sort of stunt the tumor from causing any more damage. Lincoln's the rock. You know, he is the most positive person, joyful, happy, and most of the time we let him lead us. All we do know is that Lincoln will continue to crack jokes.
Do you like my moves?
Dance for you if you ask him to, and be just a happy kid.
Before I go to bed, we pray for Lincoln. He'll be okay. Thanks.
Tell us what you think about the stories seen here on 1036. Please call 414-797-3760 and leave your feedback. And remember, you can always check us out on Facebook. and at MilwaukeePBS.org. That'll do it for this edition of 1036. We return March 15th here on Milwaukee PBS. Enjoy the cold and snowy sights from above Geneva Lake and downtown Lake Geneva.